What if a single mistake could alter the destiny of entire generations? Ham, the son of Noah, committed a sin so grave that it led to one of the most mysterious and controversial curses in the Bible. But what exactly did he do? Was Noah's reaction justified, or is there a hidden truth behind this story that most people overlook? And more importantly, could you be making the same kind of mistake without even realizing it? In this video, we're uncovering the shocking details behind Ham's sin, the real reason behind Noah's curse, and the consequences that shaped history. But this isn't just an ancient story. It holds a powerful lesson about honor, consequences, and divine justice that still applies today. Have you ever witnessed something you shouldn't have? Have you ever underestimated the weight of a single action? What if the lesson in Ham's downfall is more relevant to your life than you ever imagined? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear will change the way you see this biblical story forever. And before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Let's spread this message to those who need it most. After the flood, Noah and his family were tasked with repopulating the earth and rebuilding society. As the floodwaters receded, Noah and his sons were given God's blessing and a mandate to multiply and fill the earth. Genesis 9 verses 1-7. They had just witnessed God's judgment and mercy, and now they were entering a new chapter of life, starting fresh with God's covenant. Noah planted a vineyard, and it is within this context that an important and controversial event would unfold involving his son Ham. The sin of Ham is described in Genesis 9 verses 20-23. One day, Noah drank wine from the vineyard he had planted and became drunk, lying uncovered in his tent. Ham, Noah's son, saw his father's nakedness, and instead of covering him, he went out and told his brothers, Shem and Japheth, about it. This act of exposing his father's vulnerability and sharing it with others was considered a grave offense. In the culture of that time, seeing someone's nakedness, especially a family member, was deeply disrespectful, and it implied dishonor. Ham's actions were not just about witnessing his father's weakness, but also about his failure to act with the respect and discretion expected in such a situation. Ham's sin became more significant because of how it was handled by his brothers. Instead of mocking or gossiping about their father's condition, Shem and Japheth took a different approach. They walked backward into the tent, using a garment to cover their father without looking at him. Genesis 9 verse 23. This act of covering Noah's nakedness was an expression of respect, honor, and sensitivity toward their father's dignity. By doing so, Shem and Japheth demonstrated the proper way to treat authority and family, providing an important contrast to Ham's actions. The Bible doesn't explicitly explain why Ham's action was so severe, but it's clear that his response lacked the respect and reverence expected in a father-son relationship. In the ancient world, the family unit was highly valued, and exposing a parent's nakedness was seen as a severe violation of that bond. Ham's disregard for this could be interpreted as a lack of honor toward his father, and it may also be seen as a sign of his moral failure. The contrast between Ham and his brothers emphasizes the value of respecting family, especially in moments of vulnerability. Ham's actions reflected disrespect and a lack of empathy, while Shem and Japheth's actions showed a model of integrity and honor. This event not only provides a lesson on the importance of family values, but also illustrates how our actions in private can have public consequences. When Noah woke up and learned what Ham had done, he reacted with deep anger and disappointment. In Genesis 9 verses 24-27, it's written that Noah, upon understanding the offense, pronounced a curse not directly on Ham, but on Ham's son, Canaan. Noah declared, "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers." This curse was not only a personal punishment for Ham's action, but also had a lasting impact on the descendants of Canaan. The curse implied that Canaan's descendants would serve the descendants of Shem and Japheth, marking a significant shift in the relationships between these families. The curse on Canaan can be understood as a direct consequence of Ham's disrespectful behavior. Instead of cursing Ham directly, Noah placed the curse on his son, Canaan. This act is seen as a way of highlighting the seriousness of Ham's sin while also preserving the relationship between Noah and his other sons, Shem, and Japheth. However, the curse had profound implications, as it foretold that the Canaanites, who descended from Canaan, would eventually become subjugated by the other nations. This would shape the future dynamics of power and land ownership among the descendants of Noah's sons. The curse on Canaan had significant consequences for the descendants of Canaan, who would later become known as the Canaanites. Over time, the Canaanites developed into a group of nations that lived in the land of Canaan, the territory that would later be promised to Abraham's descendants, the Israelites. The Israelites, under the leadership of figures like Joshua, would eventually conquer the land of Canaan, fulfilling God's promise to Abraham. This conquest can be seen as the fulfillment of Noah's curse, where the Canaanites were subjugated and forced to serve the Israelites. This curse on Canaan also highlights the broader themes of judgment and divine sovereignty. Although the curse may seem harsh, it underscores how serious actions can have consequences that extend beyond the immediate moment. It also shows how God's plan for his people, Israel, was unfolding even in the early days after the flood. The Israelites' victory over the Canaanites was part of a larger divine narrative that led to the establishment of the nation of Israel in the Promised Land. The malediction of Canaan serves as a cautionary tale about the long-term effects of sin and disrespect within families. It illustrates that while individual actions may seem private or isolated, they can have lasting consequences that affect future generations. It also emphasizes the importance of maintaining respect for authority and the family unit, as this can influence the course of history in ways that are far-reaching. The severity of Ham's sin stems from the deep disrespect and dishonor he showed to his father, Noah. In ancient cultures, family and respect for one's parents were fundamental values, and the act of exposing a parent's nakedness was seen as a significant violation of that respect. Ham's sin wasn't just about seeing Noah's vulnerability, it was about how he chose to react to it. Instead of covering his father or acting with discretion, Ham went out and told his brothers, making the situation worse. His actions symbolized a lack of reverence, not just for Noah, but for the authority that Noah represented as the head of the family and the covenantal leader. This act of exposing Noah's nakedness was more than just an act of disrespect, it also reflected a deep sense of shame. Ham's decision to tell his brothers instead of showing honor to his father by covering him revealed a lack of empathy and humility. Instead of acting with maturity, Ham chose to gossip about his father's shame, spreading it rather than protecting it. This lack of honor was seen as an offense against Noah's dignity, and in turn, it was viewed as an offense against God's order for the family and the world. The consequences of Ham's actions went beyond just his own behavior. They impacted his descendants. When Noah pronounced the curse on Ham's son, Canaan, it became clear that the sin wasn't only personal, it was familial and generational. Ham's failure to show respect toward Noah disrupted the integrity of the family unit, and that disruption echoed down through the generations. Canaan, as Ham's descendant, would inherit the consequences of his father's dishonor, highlighting how one individual's actions can shape the future of an entire lineage. Ham's sin teaches us important lessons about the value of respect, especially within the family. Respecting authority, protecting the dignity of others, and behaving with integrity are foundational to healthy relationships, particularly within families. Ham's disregard for these values demonstrates how our actions, even in moments of private vulnerability, can have public consequences. Families are meant to be places of refuge, trust, and respect, and Ham's failure to act with these values caused a ripple effect that would affect generations to come. In a broader sense, Ham's actions highlight the importance of being mindful of how we treat others, especially those in authority over us. Whether it's our parents, leaders, or those in positions of responsibility, our behavior toward them matters deeply. Ham's sin serves as a reminder that dishonoring others can lead to long-lasting consequences, not just for the individual, but for those who follow them. It's a call for all of us to strive for respect, humility, and the protection of the dignity of others, as our choices have far-reaching effects. The story of Ham holds significant lessons for Christians today, especially in the areas of respect and family values. The importance of honoring our parents and respecting authority is a foundational principle in the Christian faith. Ephesians 6 verses 2-3 reminds us to honor your father and mother, emphasizing that this command comes with a promise. Just as Ham's actions led to lasting consequences, our choices regarding how we treat others, especially those in authority over us, have far-reaching effects. Whether it's our parents, church leaders, or governmental authorities, we are called to respect them, and this story reinforces the importance of maintaining that respect. In today's world, it is easy to overlook the significance of honoring our family and authority figures, but the story of Ham serves as a reminder that such actions are deeply impactful. Ham's failure to respect Noah affected not just his own life, but the destiny of his descendants. In our own lives, neglecting respect and dishonoring those in positions of authority can lead to broken relationships and even generational struggles. This story calls Christians to reflect on how we treat others, especially our elders and leaders, as our actions have ripple effects that can impact future generations. The story of Ham also brings a valuable lesson about forgiveness and redemption. While the curse upon Ham's descendants is severe, it doesn't mean that God's grace isn't available. The Bible is full of stories where individuals, despite their mistakes, find redemption through God's mercy. Just as the Israelites were forgiven after their disobedience, and King David was redeemed despite his sin, we too have the opportunity to seek forgiveness and restoration when we fall short. This story reminds us that while we face the consequences of our actions, God's love and mercy are always present to offer a fresh start. Even though the curse on Ham's line was a direct result of his actions, the broader narrative of the Bible teaches us that we are not defined by our mistakes. Christians are encouraged to seek repentance and forgiveness, knowing that God's grace covers all. Just as Jesus died for our sins and offers us new life, the message of redemption is central to the Christian faith. This hope of redemption is essential, especially when we face the consequences of our wrong choices, knowing that God is faithful to forgive when we turn to Him with a repentant heart. Ultimately, the story of Ham challenges us to examine how we handle our relationships, particularly with those in authority. It teaches the importance of honoring others and striving to reflect God's love through our actions. It also assures us that no matter our failures, God's grace offers a path to redemption and healing. As Christians, we are called to live in the light of God's mercy, seeking forgiveness and extending that same grace to others. This story, though one of failure, ultimately points us toward the hope of restoration and reconciliation with God. In conclusion, the story of Ham serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of respecting others, particularly within our families. Ham's sin, in which he disrespected his father Noah, led to a severe curse that affected not only his own life but also the lives of his descendants. This event shaped the course of history for the Canaanites, who were later subjugated by the descendants of Shem and Japheth. It highlights the far-reaching consequences of disrespect and dishonor, especially in the context of family and authority. The impact of Ham's actions is felt across generations, showing us how our choices can have lasting effects. The curse placed upon Canaan wasn't just a punishment for one individual but a consequence that extended to an entire lineage. This story challenges us to think about how our actions, especially those that dishonor others, can affect future generations. It emphasizes the importance of making choices that reflect respect, integrity, and love for others, particularly those in positions of authority. From Ham's story, we learn that respecting our family and leaders is not just a suggestion but a vital aspect of living out our faith. Disrespecting those in authority, whether our parents, teachers, or leaders in the church, can lead to broken relationships and serious consequences. Ham's sin reminds us of the weight our actions carry and how they can disrupt the harmony within our families and communities. We are encouraged to approach our relationships with care, humility, and a willingness to honor others. As we reflect on Ham's actions, we should also consider the lessons of redemption and forgiveness. While Ham's sin had serious consequences, it doesn't mean that we are condemned forever. The Bible teaches us that even in our failures, there is always room for forgiveness and reconciliation. God's grace is greater than any mistake we make, and we can always turn to Him for forgiveness and restoration. In closing, let us ask ourselves, How can we apply these lessons in our own lives? Let's strive to honor our families, leaders, and authorities, keeping in mind the long-lasting impact our actions can have. If we approach others with respect, humility, and love, we are living out the values God desires for us. Thank you for watching, and if you found this story insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. See you in the next one.